everyone. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how I use the burp, which is this invention right here. I actually came to this relatively recently, even though I've been using buzzing as a tool in teaching and in my practice for years. Up until recently, I didn't actually purchase one of these. I used, various alternatives such as the lower cost paperclip alternative. You just take a paperclip and you bend part of it, and then you put it between your mouthpiece and the lead pipe, and it kind of brings your mouthpiece halfway out of the lead pipe and creates this like sort of half buzzing, half playing thing. One downside of that is that it creates a really gross breeze back into your face, so that's not fun. It's an option. It's something that I do sometimes with younger kids. But recently, I went ahead and got the burp, which attaches to the lead pipe. And if you haven't used this before, basically you're able to put your mouthpiece in, and it allows you to buzz and kind of do the fingerings at the same time. It kind of keeps it so that the feel is the same as if you're playing just physically, in terms of your posture and everything. But to me, I think the real advantage of it as a tuba player is that it's a cylinder with a hole in it, so it provides a little bit of resistance that allows you to kind of mimic the feel of playing a little bit more than just buzzing on the mouthpiece. And it also comes with an adjustable piece where if I'm buzzing in the lower register, I can move that piece over the hole, partially or fully, so that it creates even more resistance, which is necessary in that extreme lower register. So this is a tool, like I said, that I've been experimenting with a little bit, and I wanted to talk today about how I use it in two different ways. The first way that I use it is as part of my warm-up. I have different fundamental exercises that I kind of cycle through, but pretty much every day I find myself playing out of the Brad Edwards Patterns and Snippets book. And I'm reading out of the bass trombone book, but there's also a tenor trombone book, and I find this book to be very versatile. It has 3 sections in it. The first is patterns like scale and arpeggio patterns. The second section has sequences, and the third section has like musical snippets, and it'll present the same sequence or pattern several times in different keys. So today I'm playing a selection out of the sequences part of the book, but this is something that I'll kind of cycle through a couple of exercises from each section of that book every day. And it's good as a sort of getting around the instrument warm-up, but it's also good as a activating your ear kind of warm-up. So that's what I'm using it for today, especially with the burp. So there is a legato passage alternating duplets and triplets in this sequence section. It's number 8. And this is what it sounds like if you just play it. So it kind of continues upward in the key, and then it goes back down and ends on the note that it started on. So what I use the burp for in this case is usually at this part of my fundamentals routine or warm-up, I'm pretty much warmed up. What I'm trying to do is check on the connection between my ear, my brain, and my lips. So what I'll do is I'll alternate playing and buzzing, basically. So it'll sound like this. So I'll just check on my pitch. Yeah, so I kind of use humming to get myself set up for the next little lick that I'm going to play. This is something that I could easily play. I play it in different keys. I might play it in different octaves. Sometimes I'll pick this up on the F tuba and do it in a higher octave. But it works well for me to kind of focus and dial in my ear and get to the point where I'm really buzzing what I intend to buzz into the instrument. So this is how I've been using this as part of my warm-up, sometimes in scale studies, sometimes in the snippets part of this book as well. But what I find it helpful with is this idea of going back and forth and of kind of checking on yourself and of just getting a little bit more efficient. I don't need to teach myself how to play tuba during my warm-up. I'm just trying to get everything dialed in and focus, and also check that I am mentally focusing on the excerpt that I'm playing. So the second thing that I want to talk about is how I use the burp to practice specifically for performances. What I have coming up this week is a brass quintet concert, and we're playing the piece called Raise the Roof by Gwyneth Walker, and it has a couple of big tuba moments in it. One of the big moments is a tuba solo about halfway through the piece, and it's very exposed. It's just me playing at this point, and so I want to make sure that I have that dialed in and ready to go. And I have a couple of spots that I basically want to check on and just make sure that I'm hearing what I mean to be hearing, and that I'm playing, buzzing, and then playing what I mean to be playing. So first I'll play the passage for you. So this is just part of that solo. And it's the part where for the upper notes that I leap up to, first it's a D flat and then it's a C. I feel like I can hear it very well, but experience has told me that if I get sort of tight during a performance, those are the notes that can sometimes betray me. So the first way that I'll practice it is I'm just going to alternate. So I'm going to play up until the note in question, and then I'm going to play a little bit or buzz a little bit afterward in the burp. So it would sound like this. And I noticed that first time I was close to the pitch but a little bit flat, so try the second lick. Try that one more time. So now, having tried it a couple of times, both of those different licks, I feel like I've got the pitch in my head a little bit better, and I'm a little bit more understanding of my tendencies on this lick today. So really what I want to practice now is putting this into context with the timing. And this is something that I think is very true, that a teacher of mine once told me that, maybe 9 times out of 10 when we miss a note, or whatever we call missing a note, we're not exactly missing the note. It's not that we can't play that note. It's that we are somehow messing up the coordination. So we're just not quite coordinating the chops, the air, the tongue, and the fingers all together. So that is, I couldn't do that in the last version of practicing this because I have to go back and forth between the lead pipe and the burp, and it's taking extra time. So what I'm going to try to do now is put this into context and do it all on the burp to practice the timing and lining everything up with my fingers. I'm going to try that one more time. That time my buzzing was pretty good, but I'm going to be honest with you, I messed up a fingering, so I'm going to do it one more time so that I can get that timing right. Yeah, it's a little bit closer. So then I'll put it back on the instrument. So that's a little bit what I'll do that on the second lick as well, and I'll kind of make my way through here with specific pitches that I might have a tendency to miss in one way or another, basically just to double check them. And I do this right before a performance as well, because again, what I use the burp for is more of a dialed in focus effect as opposed to how I might use it for younger students. You know, younger students are really trying to find the slot of each note, and we really need to check if they're getting anywhere near the note that they need to buzz. But for me, I'm generally pretty close. I just want to be more exact with what I'm doing. So, for example, this past fall, I was playing La Mer, and in that piece, you, as the tuba player, you sit through the first few minutes of it, and then you have to come in on a sort of exposed, low, soft G flat. It's not a note that I have typical, trouble with, but I needed it to be right on. So my warm up on stage in the intermission, preparing for that, was me kind of getting that note in my head and then putting it in the burp and then bringing it back on the horn. So just getting that focus on the pitch and making sure that my mental focus is also on that, because every time that I do something on the burp, I am forced to have that mental focus that maybe I don't always have when I'm playing, because the instrument sort of sorts things out for me. So I'm using the burp in this way, and with my students, some of them have it, some of them don't. I generally use buzzing in a variety of ways, but they change as you get better at the instrument. You're no longer just trying to target in on a note slot. You're trying to, for example, maybe figure out the extreme high range or the extreme low range. Now, we can't be buzzing for extended periods of time in the high range, but one thing that'll happen often with students in lessons is, they'll have trouble with a certain high note or interval, and we'll take it to the mouthpiece to check. Well, let's see what we're actually putting into the instrument, and then sometimes we'll find out, okay, I'm not actually buzzing that high C that I thought I was buzzing, and so that makes total sense why it's not coming out the end of the instrument. The burp can make that a little bit easier, especially on the other side of things in the extreme low register. Especially for tuba players, we've got to get focused and dialed in that register, because we don't get as much help from the instrument in finding those notes. And it's not super taxing to buzz in that range, so we can do it. But again, the burp helps with a little bit of resistance and with the feel. So that's how I'm using this tool right now for me in my practice and with my students. I'd be interested in hearing how any of you are using the burp or other tools or the paperclip or any other kind of solution. I don't think it's a totally necessary tool to buy and spend money on, but now that I have actually done it, I do find myself using it. And in some ways, I find myself using it in an unexpected manner, like this, to dial in as opposed to practice for endurance or flexibility or anything like that. But this is what I found helpful. Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and happy practicing.